Welcome back to Voice of the Founding Fathers, and I'm your host, Dr. D. Lee Pippin. Today, we're going to talk about epidemics, worldwide epidemics, global epidemics. So, we've just gone through COVID for 2 years. COVID's still happening. We have major flu symptoms that come through the world, killed thousands of people as well. And now we have monkeypox. Now, before you start in, it's another gay infestation like AIDS. It's not. I know it seems that way because the way it's being presented, but it's not true. Now, I'm going to go to conspiracy school right now and point out that it's very strange that a disease that has never really gotten out of Africa, and it's been around for at least 75 years we've known about, and it's never escaped the central Congo area, has suddenly managed to get into almost every civilized country in the world. And it does seem to be hitting certain populations for the most part at this moment. Now, like with it, when the AIDS epidemic happened, HIV, and a lot of you may not be old enough to remember when that actually happened, when it first started. Unfortunately, I am. Everyone said it was a judgment from God. It's a gay disease. Then suddenly, it started popping up in many, many different aspects of civilization. It popped up in the African American community. It popped up in the Latin community. It popped up in the upper echelons, the lower echelons. It didn't discriminate. Then everyone started rethinking, okay, we don't know how, we don't know why, but the gay disease became an actual world epidemic that everyone was now worried about because it affected other people. Well, that's how everybody's acting with monkeypox. I just have some curious points of how did it suddenly end up in the populations it's in all over the world in basically a couple months. Something's not adding up. Something sounds fishy. And I would not put it past certain people in our government and several other governments to have done what they've done in the past. And in certain areas with vaccines, inoculations, there's been active viruses placed. We know that happened with HIV, with some of the inoculations that were being given to children in lower income schools, predominantly African American neighborhoods, in some of their measles vaccines and things that they had to have for school. It supposedly was an accident that only because somebody discovered that was being done ever came out. And no one knows how many people were given the infected vaccines. We know that they've done the same thing with syphilis. They've done the same thing with many different things. So, what are the chances this monkeypox is due to some nefarious individuals in the government, again, trying to make a move on certain populations they consider a threat? And it is obvious by some of the actions, including from the Supreme Court with Clarence Thomas and his wonderful speeches on it, that the gay community is perceived as a threat. Now, you can't use crime against the gay community because it's not high in crime. And you can't use several other norms against the gay community because the gay community actually normally per capita makes more money, normally is invested in businesses which helps increase the economy of the United States. They're normally in the creative arts or engineering, so they're making designs, they're making plans, they're building things that put us on the map. Because of that, they usually make more money. They have higher lifestyles. That also makes them more difficult to touch. So, what group would be directly responsible today for those creations? Just putting the thought out there. Not putting any blame on anyone in particular. But it's just a what if. Because it seems very funny to me that we almost have a brand new global pandemic that's very selective, and it came out of nowhere to make it all the way around the world, where it's only been in one little remote area for all these decades. Interesting. Just a point to ponder, just a thought to have. While you're also having those thoughts, start thinking about how we're going to handle the next pandemic that comes through. Because it's obvious Mother Nature's not done with whatever she's trying to do to clean up the world. And we better become smart enough to figure out how to clean up the world ourselves before Mother Nature decides to wipe out the pest that's destroying her, called humanity. Just thoughts. Think about it. Think about all the things that we do, all the things we deny, all the pollutions we create. Think of your own carbon footprint. We're all guilty. None of us are innocent. It's what we do to change, what we do to improve, where we want to go. And sometimes the profits aren't worth the repercussions. Again, the profits aren't worth the repercussions. Thoughts to think about. Remember to subscribe, hit the like button, and hit your notifications so we can be in touch more often. Thank you and have a great night.